This is who I found out. I guess he has had some run-ins with this guy. Then I saw in his community that this guy was opening up. It's this guy. He was opening up a an offer to debate somebody. Just to give you guys a little bit of a preview.
So first we're gonna go down the line. We're gonna go from ADOS to the Sovereign Citizen Movement to the so-called Black Police, and then I'm gonna address the whole Van der Man and his whole channel, both of his platforms and all his subscribers. I've been trying to get anybody from Van der Man channel to come on and join me for a dialogue. They don't want to debate because they don't know the law. That's the thing.
I'm here.
I'm talking about Shahara law and all this and that. You don't want to debate because you're scared because you don't know the law. You don't.
Oh, hey,
Peace, peace. What's up?
what's up, man? Uh, so anyway, hey, I think we're good. We're go ahead and live right now. So like I said, if you wanna take the video, um, if you wanna take the video and upload it, hey, go for it. I'm not gonna judge you on it, or I'm not gonna object. But
All right.
so you got my email, and so I kind of gave you some subject matter that we could talk about. So why don't you go ahead and start? You had made some uh, declarations about Van Balion's crew, and I follow him, but I have my own channel that kind of talks about this sort of subject matter. So, what do you think is your biggest issue that's going on? When people associate Moors with sovereign citizens.
The whole thing with the sovereign citizen being an oxymoron, and where did it exist? Where did it derive from? If you look back, and you won't find it nowhere in records, like in documents, like congressional records or law cases, or nothing like that. It's a made up term, just like the whole Black Lives Matter movement and stuff like that.
Well,
It's not.
well, Well, the problem I would say with that is that sovereign citizen is the term itself brought out in the late 60s, early 70s, and it was a label that individuals gave to themselves when advocating certain legal ideologies, certain legal doctrines, and certain legal tactics that the courts have struck down. So, sovereign citizen is in fact listed in court cases. So, it's not a made up term from the internet. It's a label that has been in use since for the last 40 plus years.
But if you go and you look up the definition of sovereignty, you'll know citizens can't be sovereign because, first of all, United States is a corporation and only nations are sovereign.
Hold on a second. Two things. I understand what I understand. I watched some of your video, and I understand your notion that sovereigns, you can't be a sovereign citizen. But the thing is that I'm the I neither I nor the government nor anybody else thought up that term. It was individuals who ascribe to a certain ideology. They made it up for themselves. They describe themselves as I am, I may be a citizen of the United States, but I am my own person as well, and I don't have to follow, the law the same way that other citizens have to. Uh, the second thing that you said also talks about, and another thing I wanted to discuss, is that your notion that the United States is a corporation. Are you including the states and municipalities in that as well?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yep.
what makes you think that the U.S. What makes you think that these entities are corporations, or at least let's define our terms. What to you is a corporation?
Corporation is an association, a franchise, business, something like McDonald's.
Okay,
It's
Um,
not a real living thing. It only exists on paper.
okay, so is it private, or in other words, I'm not so sorry, private, but uh, is it only for profit, or can there be non-profit corporations?
It can be both, but for example, you could use the Dallas. We know they're not police, but Dallas Police is a corporation.
No, wait,
So
Dallas Police in and of itself is a corporation, but not Dallas, but not Dallas the city.
the Dallas City is a corporation too.
But oh, so you think that you're saying that they're two separate corporations, but they're still corporations?
Yeah,
Okay,
the
so
United States itself is a corporation, and all
and
of the all of the all of the 50 states are corporations, but they do have organic names. The terminology is more the language would make it legal or lawful, and then make it de jure or de facto.
okay,
Like someone saying that they're in the state of New York, you can't be in the state of New York. You can't live in the state of New York. New York, the state of New York only exists on paper. You
well,
can be at the state of New York.
no, well, no, you can't be in the state of New York. The New York is defined by its geographical borders, just as the United States is,
Nah, North,
just as a
the real,
municipality. I mean, you go to a Google Maps and it'll outline the geographic border of which the city of Dallas is located, the state of Texas, and the country of the United States. I mean, are
nah,
they literal? Are they literal
the United States
lines
is not a
drawn?
country though, because it's 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 the countries are not surrounded by land. I mean water. We live North America is the continent. The United States
Right,
is a bankrupt corporation, which went bankrupt 3 times. Lincoln bankrupted. I want to say Kennedy, and
Kennedy.
then
That's a new one. JFK bankrupted the United States,
I think so.
and who was the third?
I want to say around the 1930s or 1913 area. It's either between Woodrow Wilson, Noble Joe Ali, and FDR.
Okay, so in my experience discussing this with other individuals who believe this is FDR was the one who, and solely FDR was the one who bankrupted the United States. There was nobody ever mentioned Lincoln or Kennedy in those topics.
You can go look it up. 1925, the Certificate of Incorporation, United States Corporation Company at State of Florida. That's when it was registered, 1925.
Wait, the United States incorporated itself in the state of Florida.
United States Corporation Company at State of Florida, 1925, Certificate of Incorporation.
And how do you know that this is United States, the federal government that we stand it to be?
It's not the federal government. They're not a government. They're a private
Okay,
corporation.
so then it's not the federal government that's incorporated in Florida.
1871, they did the act to establish the government for District of Columbia.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's absolutely correct. For 1871 was the District of Columbia Organic Act, and what it did was it established a government for Washington and Georgetown, but at the municipal level. The Organic Act of 1871 did not create an a corporation for the entirety of the federal government. It created
no,
a government for Washington, the city of Washington, and Georgetown, which was also annexed and became the Washington the district's government. And as a matter of fact, that law was actually repealed in 1874.
that had a lot to do with land too.
Well, the land, I don't know what you're saying about land. I'm just talking about the reorganization of the government that was to govern the District of Columbia. There is no mention of of a creation of a corporation or private corporation for the federal government within the text of the law, which I have read. I mean, have you read the text of the law yourself?
Yeah.
Okay, can you show me where where it says that we are creating a private corporation for the federal government?
Hold on. Let me try to Google this. Let me Google this real quick. But the United States is definitely a corporation. Everybody know that.
Well, no,
This
not
is why.
everybody knows that. It's kind of something that you guys
This is why. No,
kind of
this is why.
argue.
Listen, listen. This is why when you check out Pope Francis' letter to Obama, Motu Proprio, he let us know that everybody acting as government is imposters, and they all should cease and desist their spots.
I'm sorry, say that
They
again.
don't. He was
What are you quoting now?
Pope Francis letter to Obama, civil letter, Motu Proprio.
I'm sorry.
That's
Yeah,
2008.
what does that letter have anything to do with what we're discussing, though? It's
It
from the
lets us
Pope
know
to the
that
Obama.
everybody, the ones that you're calling the government and the ones who you call the federal government, they're imposters. That's what that letter proved. In Motu Proprio, I'm gonna pull it up.
Okay. While you're doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen because as it stands, I actually do have a copy of the law of 1871 here. Um, so I don't know. Can you see my screen right here?
Hold on, hold on. I'm in a whole different screen. I wish I could do the share screen. How do you do that?
It's on Hangouts. You can on the top. If you go to the top right, a drop down will go down. There'll be three dots, and it'll say share screen.
Oh, okay, I got it.
Okay, so this is the here. If I don't know if you can you see it now?
Your entire screen, right?
Yeah.
All right. It's not giving me the choice to click share.
Well, I think I'm currently sharing right now, and then when I do that, I can go ahead and share
All
your
right.
screen as
Is it
well.
good now? It's
Yeah,
sharing now.
I could see you now. I could see where your screen now, but I'm trying to I want you to be able to see my screen right
Okay,
quick.
okay. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I have a copy of the law of 1871, and you can see it down here. Let me go ahead and drop it down. Where it says an act to provide a government for the District of Columbia in February 21st, 1871. And then it says all parts of the territory of the United States included within the limits of District of Columbia, and hereby same created into a government by the name of the District of Columbia, by which name it is hereby constituted a body corporate for municipal purposes, and may contract and be contracted with, sue and be sued, and be pleaded, have a seal, and exercise all powers of a municipal corporation non-consistent with the Constitution of the United States and the provisions of the Act. So, essentially, what that says is that it is creating a municipal body corporation, but not the same corporation you think it is, for simply the District of Columbia. It makes no creation of any sort of private company, private entity for the federal government. And you can see the rest of the law here throughout, talking about the creation of the officers to be elected, the rest of the administration. That Georgetown, as you can see here, will be annexed as part of the entity, so that now Georgetown is no longer itself has its own charter. So Georgetown is now simply a suburb of Washington. So that itself is the law, and I would like to see whether or not you know of that that it existed. But I'll go ahead and stop sharing now. And then if you want, I could go ahead and share your screen if you want to watch something.
All right,
want to share something, but your
look,
camera's
look.
off.
All right, put it like this. I'm gonna break it down real simple for you, and I'm gonna let you know. Now, you do know there's two constitutions, right?
There is no two constitutions.
Yes, there is. There's Constitution for the United States of America, 1771, 1771, or maybe
There was wait, there was a constitution before the
I'm about
Revolutionary War started.
I'm about to prove it to you right now. Hold on. Let me get this share screen going. It's a constitution for the United States of North America, and it's a constitution of. That constitution of is the United States Corporation. Right here.
This
The
is
act of
this
the
is
act of
this is exactly what I literally just showed you. Is that this supposed Act of 1871? I literally just showed you this law, which says nothing of what you're trying to cite to me.
No, where I don't know what you saying. Where's that law? That's don't that
I
don't
just showed you the law. This is I got this direct from the congressional record.
and what do you say it again? What is that law saying?
An act to provide a government for the District of Columbia, passed
Oh,
February
okay.
21st,
Listen,
1871.
an act. That means it's not real. It was an
Yes,
act.
it is. An act is a real thing. An
No, it's
act
not.
becomes law.
Color of law.
No,
You
actual law.
listen, color of law under USC 242. But listen, what I'm trying to say is that even though that you're saying when was that congressional record that you're saying, what's the date on that and what's the name of it?
I'll show you. Let me see right here. It is the 41st
it
Congress, third session, chapter 6162 of 1871, page 419, approved February 21st, 1871.
All right, okay. Now, first of all, there's two governments. That's why when you look on the back of a dollar, you see the eagle and then you see the pyramid. The pyramid is the Moorish Empire. That's my government. Now,
I thought it was the all-seeing eye.
let nah, that the eye is on top of the pyramid. So yeah, you can say it's the same thing. But the eye is not connected to the pyramid for a reason. But 1871, that's our constitution. And y'all, the other one that was incorporated after probably.
Okay, so you're citing this
No, no,
as
no, 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 no. Hold on,
hold on.
hold on, hold on.
You're using this as a you're using this Google search as an authority. Can you click the link and state what it says, or are you going to are you
You
using
can't
their
see it?
summary? Are you using the summary by this as an authority, or are they actually citing the actual text of the law?
Look, the United States Corporation operates under private international law with their own corporate constitution. The various federal agencies, also corporations and subsidiaries of the United States, are known as departments.
You're taking these headlines as truth and fact. I want evidence. I want actual evidence that this is actually what the law or the supposed law of 1871 actually says. I don't want somebody else's opinion on what they think it says. I want to know what it is, and I gave you the text of the law being discussed, which says nothing of what you're alleging.
Hold on, because now I gotta do a little digging. I gotta go through something real quick. Let me end this. Let me hold on. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
But first of all, it's two constitutions. The Constitution of
Okay.
17. Hold on. Let me finish
Go
making
ahead.
my
All right.
statement.
All right. All right.
The Constitution of 1781, 17. Hold on, 17. I'm looking right now. 1791. So the Constitution of 1791, and then you got the Constitution of the United States of America, which is the corporation. And the only part of this that applies to me is Article 6, Section 2.
Okay, so
consular court.
when did that second constitution? When was that second constitution enacted?
Well, this is Constitution was made for the Europeans, actually, but this is the our author like how can I say this? This is to keep them in check, not for us. But we can still use it because we the nationals. But
Okay, can you just answer what I asked? Do you know when this secondary constitution that you believe is illegitimate, when it was enacted?
let me see. It was after 1791. I want to say
Because the real only reason I ask is because the constitution that
after
we
1771.
associate was enacted in 1789.
All right. So that's the Constitution of the United States of America.
Wait, so which one is the legitimate one? The of the United States or for the United States?
For the United States.
Okay, so the one that when was so the legitimate one for the United States, when was that enacted?
17, 1771.
Okay, so the Constitution for the United States was enacted in 1771, 5 years before the outbreak of the Revolutionary War.
What'd you say?
So the you said the Constitution for the United States was enacted in 1771, 5 years before before even the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah. If it's 1771, it's the if that's the Constitution for the United States of America, yeah. 1791 it might be.
So they had a so I'm trying I want to make sure I got this correct. The 13 colonies had created a constitution for the United States before
1791.
you said you kept on saying 1771.
Nah, I probably was wrong. 1791, but it's the Constitution for the United States
Okay, but
of America.
okay, so but our traditional history has us having the United States Constitution being enacted, or excuse me, ratified and effective as of 1789. So you're saying that the legitimate one was enacted after this fraudulent one?
Yeah,
So the legitimate one is in place now.
no. The legitimate one is the Republic that got overthrown
It was overthrown when?
in 1913. No, no, a little later, maybe around the 1930s, closer to that area.
You kind of, see the reason I'm asking is you're kind of throwing all these dates around. You're not exactly being concise in when X event happened. Because I'm looking at it kind of like a casual history of as I understand it and as most people understand it, the Constitution that we understand to be effective and currently active was ratified and effective as of 1789.
Let me pull up some because I got a study guide. Well, not a study guide, but I got a sheet that'll give me some dates and stuff like that of things that happened. But if you pull up the letter from Motu Proprio from Pope Francis to Obama, letting him know that all governments was imposters.
Well, I don't care what the words of a pope says to the president.
The Pope owns everything on it on his. Well, he don't own. He's in control.
The Pope.
He's like the highest in charge. He is the highest in charge. He's your God.
Uh, no. The you know the vast majority of U.S. citizens, or excuse me, or colonists, or a good chunk of the colonists at the time when the United States became the United States, they were Protestant. They weren't under the control of the Vatican.
Well, they probably wasn't under the control physically, but financially, he controlling everything. They running everything.
In what
All corporate.
regard? In what regard? Our the United States debt is with China and Japan. It's not with the Vatican.
So I don't know why he making all the calls and he writing letters to Obama and everything is popping off the way it is.
I mean,
What?
I guess it seems like I'm kind of getting a sense of where you're getting your information from, and in reality, it's not really there's not really a whole lot there.
No, you kind of really getting off topic because you said we was going to debate about the right to travel thing. You
Okay,
said we was
well,
going to talk about
okay, that's fair.
you
I
first
mean, that's
want to
fair.
talk about the government being a corporation. I'm trying to look for some more documents, some better documents, so I could just prove it to you clear as day, and you can go look all of this stuff up. But the republic was overthrown around 1930, around the same time. Well, you could say around 1913, around the same time the Federal Reserve was set up. You could go check out congressional record from Louis McFadden in 1934, and that's the argument. I think I got a video on that, but they was arguing about how the Federal Reserve was unconstitutional and unlawful, and they incorporated everybody and the corporations, and that the Constitution of, not the Constitution for, the Constitution of, made two types of citizen. So you got a natural person, like a corporation, which is your birth, that not yours, but the birth certificate, social security. That's what they use to tax everybody and claim.
Okay, right, right. Well, you put out a lot here. You put out a lot just now. Um, again, you keep going back and forth as to when exactly the United States became fraudulent and a corporation. I mean, I've heard 1771, 1791, 1871, now 1913 or 1933. Uh,
1865, 1865 was around
that
the
and
last
is
time
the end of the Civil
they
War.
went bankrupt. Yeah, and then they started turning things into corporations around after that time. But I'm about to give you some dates,
Well,
and
during
you
the
can.
Industrial Revolution, there's naturally going to be a spike in corporations and in that era, but that doesn't have nothing to do with whether or not the government entities at the time became corporations. But as
The,
what you
the
alleged
clear,
to the birth certificate thing, I mean, I've
even
looked into this and I've never seen any evidence of of a birth certificate
if you
meaning
even if you look
anything.
up the, all right, I don't mean to cut you off, but even when you look up the doctrine of discovery and the Clearfield Trust versus United States 318 U.S. 363, that'll prove a lot of stuff what you're saying is not the truth.
Oh, okay, what was the citation? 318 what?
318 U.S. 363, Clearfield Trust versus United States.
Okay, so what's it saying? Can you give me a synopsis of the law, or at least the case itself?
I gotta look into it. I just put it down. I gotta look it up and see it.
So you're giving me a citation of something that you believe supports your argument, but you don't know anything about it. You haven't read it.
Nah, but I could tell you 1933, May 27th, the Securities Act was when they started turning birth certificates, all of these things into bank bonds, social security, birth certificates. They start turning marriage license, driver's license, all into bank bonds. And this is why you don't need a license to travel.
Well, yes, I understand that's the argument made, but I still haven't seen any evidence of that, and I have a fair amount of court cases that support me on that. That the states have the authority to regulate, travel on the highways, by including in up to issuing, requiring private citizens to obtain driver's licenses.
Nah, that's not true.
Okay,
This how you could tell.
all
This
right.
how you could tell that these things are not government and they corporations because they are incorporated. They're private, and then once you really talk about law, they're you'll see that they're not the law. Just like my last ticket, whatever, I sent them some judicial notice and challenging jurisdiction. They never sent me nothing back. That let me know right there they're not the law. I beat my
No,
last three
well, they're
cases.
not under any obligation to respond to you for in that regard.
No, they outside of the law. They're outlaws. I am the law. Now,
Okay, Judge Dredd. Here.
I am the government. I am the government, and nobody has jurisdiction over me. I got my own jurisdiction. My nation. We have our own jurisdiction. The de jure lawful heirs.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know about that. In most instances, that usually doesn't fly when trying to argue that in the court.
Yes, it does. In the international court, that's why the international court just gave back the Aboriginals of Australia their land and billions of compensation for spiritual loss. Ours
Well,
is coming real soon. The
international
more
court has I'll put it to you
and that's
bluntly.
what
The
we're gonna
United
put.
States
That's
rarely will recognize an international court.
they're gonna have.
Speaking of for somebody who's an attorney, international law is not really much of a thing here.
Trust me, you're gonna say soon.
Um, sure. So, do you have any other cases that goes into that supports your claim on the right to travel?
The Department, yeah, I do, but give me a second. The Department of Motor Vehicles hasn't even been around for over 100 years.
Well, okay. The age of
So
an
that
agency has nothing to do with whether or not it's legitimate.
they not even lawful. But I'm gonna give you some cases right now. Hold on. Let me see. And then don't forget the Cesta QV Act of 1666. The like the Bull Inter Cateria Divina.
Pescavie Act of 1666, isn't that an English law?
No.
Okay, who enacted it then?
So the Constitution, all right, that's the Cesta QV Act. That's the act when they was doing with the bank bonds and all that stuff. The trust, setting up a trust,
Okay,
making
what
making
does that have to
certain
do with the
laws.
right to travel?
It don't have nothing to do with the right to travel. It's just an act that was a date and event of American chronology. That's what I'm going through right now. So that
You
this is
say
saying
you're saying that the Act of 1666 came around before the existence of the United States. How could it be part of it?
say that one more time.
You're saying this law that you're citing, it came out was enacted in 1666, about 100 years before the United States even existed.
The same way they set up laws before they set up the not the birth, yeah, the birth controls, and the same way they set up laws before they put Planned Parenthoods in there to kill children. That's how they got to set up a law so they could do that. The same way they're gonna set up laws and make marijuana weed and put all types of chemicals and stuff in it that's gonna kill people. That's what they do. Well, not them. That's what this de facto doing business as government on the Moroccan Empire at Morocco.
Okay. Um, I got no clue about that one. But I will go ahead and give you a case for supporting my argument. You can go ahead and look it up on your own. Or I could just show you a direct citation here. It's called Hendrick versus Maryland, 235 U.S. 610. In that case, the Supreme Court held that that states can requires its individuals to obtain driver's licenses in order to travel on the public highways. So that is one case that's very definitive in what the Supreme Court is saying, what the states can and cannot do.
Yeah.
So, as a matter of fact,
I'm looking for the case right now. Go ahead. What you was gonna say?
I'm sorry. I'm just gonna share my screen right quick.
So everything that you're saying, this is the reason why state laws, everything that you're saying, statutes, codes, ordinances, that's not law. Speeding, that's not the law.
Yeah,
Running a stop sign,
of course, it's the
not the
law.
law. No, it's not. It's a statute, codes, ordinances, and regulations. And I'm about to tell you why it's not the law.
You're gonna have to explain that. Yeah.
Anything that's not in the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. Anything that's not in the Constitution, notwithstanding, that means it's null and void.
I'm sorry,
So
but no. I have to stop you right there. The Supreme Court, the Constitution gives the states the latitude to enact their own laws. It gives Congress the parameters in which they can enact law. It's in the Constitution itself. On what planet are you saying that Congress cannot enact laws pursuant to the Constitution?
I said the state, the states, the cities, the towns, they cannot make laws if they're not to the Constitution. They gotta be derived from that Constitution. If not, it's null and void. They can't open up their own laws. If not, that's color of law, and it don't exist.
The 10th Amendment. The 10th Amendment says that that which is not direct, that which is not controlled by the legislators is controlled by the states of the people.
That's not a real constitution. That's a constitution for the corporation.
What the? Wait, so the Bill of Rights are not in the Constitution and not your Constitution.
What you say?
The Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments are not in your Constitution.
Is it from the Constitution of 1787 for the United States of America, or is it the other one?
The first 10 amendments to the Constitution that was enacted in 1789.
All right, so what you saying?
What I'm saying is the First Amendment, speech, assembly, religion. Second Amendment, bear arms. Third Amendment, quartering of troops. Fourth Amendment, search and seizures. Fifth, and so on through the 10th Amendment, which grants the powers that are reserved for the states. In other words, to allow the states to enact their own laws.
Nah.
What do you mean, nah? It's in the Constitution.
Listen, I'm going to read this. United States Constitution, Article 3, Section 2, the judicial powers shall extend to all cases in law and equity arising under this Constitution, the laws of the United States, and treaties made or which shall be made under their authority, to all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers, and consuls, to all cases of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction. That's what they're operating out here.
Congratulations,
Not
you just describe the jurisdiction
the
of the U.S.
controversies.
courts. It has nothing to do with whether or not Congress
Let me
can pass laws
Let me
and
finish.
states can
Let me finish.
pass their own
And
laws.
I got a case law too. Let me finish. It's only going to take 2 minutes, and I got a case law. To controversies to which the United States shall be a party, to controversies between two or more states, between a state and citizens of another state, between citizens of different states, between citizens of the same state claiming lands under grants of different states, and between the state or the citizens thereof, and foreign states, which will be like this Delaware, like what y'all make the corporations make up, citizens or subjects, in all cases affecting ambassadors or other public ministers and consuls, and those in which a state shall be a party. The Supreme Court shall have original jurisdiction. In all the other cases before mentioned, the Supreme Court shall have appellate jurisdiction, both as to law and fact, with such exceptions and under such regulations as the Congress shall make. The trial of all crimes, except in cases of impeachment, shall be by jury, and such trial shall be held in the state where the said crime shall be have committed. But when not committed within any state, the trial shall be had at such place or places as the Congress may by law have directed. So that means all of these warrants is not original, official, de jure, valid warrants if they're not signed by Congress.
No, they're
And
not.
let me
That's absolutely incorrect. But go ahead, finish your point.
that's the truth. Or a sheriff. Now let me state this case. This case is where rights secured by the Constitution are involved. There can be no rulemaking or statutes of codes or regulations or ordinances. So where rights secured by the Constitution are involved, there can be no rulemaking or legislation which would abrogate them. Miranda versus Arizona.
Yeah.
384
Okay. What the?
436. 1966.
And so what?
So
Why? And then, but whole call. Okay, you cited that. You cited Miranda versus Arizona. Now, but the problem you're having here is you are imparting your interpretation of what they're saying in Miranda to whatever arbitrary rules that you want to impose. AKA, you are trying to associate what their court is saying in Miranda versus Arizona to say, oh, that means I don't have to have a driver's license. That is not what that is that is your own interpretation that you're putting in. That is not supported by any court, any case that you could cite to me.
I'm saying that I'm gonna cite another case. An unconstitutional act is not law. It confers no rights. In order for it to be a crime, it got to be an injured party, first of all, and that's
Okay.
Gibson.
Okay.
That's a case too. An unconstitutional act is not law. It confers no rights. It imposes no duties, affords no protection. It creates no office. It is in legal contemplation as inoperative as though it had never been passed. Norton versus Shelby.
Okay, thank you for that citation. Now, where in that case does it say I don't have to have a driver's license?
Is basically you got rights, and these are your rights to life, liberty.
Okay, correct. No,
Life.
you're absolutely correct. But you are imposing your own interpretation of those rights to your driving without a license. That's where you're fucking up.
No,
because you don't have any cases that have that can associate driving with that right that you're trying to associate it with.
Listen, I didn't even get to the cases really that I really want to get to that associate with the right to travel and all that.
By all means.
But another one is, in our country, the people are sovereign, and the government cannot sever its relationship to them by taking away their citizenship. Perez versus Burnell, 356 U.S. 44.
I thought citizenship was a bad thing. So
It says take
what do you care if the government strips away your citizenship?
because our citizenship is nationals, and they put us in a dead status, put us in a silver little two status. So they can't take away our national status. That's what it's really basically saying. Exercise your national rights, as D. George is. So another case, when acting to enforce a statute and then subsequent amendments to the present date, the judge of the municipal court is acting as an administrative officer and not in a judicial capacity.
Yep.
Mind is a terrible thing.
Okay, so he's
Okay.
acting.
What's
All right.
please cite to me that law. I
Court,
think I know exactly that law you're citing. What's the law? What's the case that you're citing with that?
I thought you said you know. You should be able to tell me. I thought you was gonna tell me who versus who. I'll
Thompson
tell you
versus
the
Smith?
top. Yeah, you're right.
Okay. Yeah, can you give me the facts of that case, please? The background.
I didn't read the case. I'm
Okay,
just citing the
okay,
case.
you are once again you are citing to me a case that you don't even know what it's about as evidence for your argument.
You could read the basically the little paragraph and get a description of what it's basically telling you.
No, you're getting a you're cherry picking a singular quote and determining that and associating that with everything else that's part of the case to further your argument. That is called cherry picking.
No, I'm giving facts. Look, ministerial officers are incompetent to receive grants of judicial power from the legislator. Their acts in attempting to exercise such powers are necessarily nullities. Burns versus SUPP. Now, let me see if I can get to these cases real quick on right to travel.
Hmm.
And first of all, let's see. Now, our right to travel is really it's just an unalienable birthright.
And that's according to who?
The organic land, nature's law, the heirs of the land.
So, just your own interpretation as such.
No, the hold on. Articles 3, IV, and VI of the American Constitution Covenant of 1774 to 1781 and treaty as lawfully adopted for the United States Republic, establishing its republican form of government. The said American Constitution
There we go.
established the people's supreme law of the land, standing upon the principles of moral government to secure the rights of the people and to keep limited government operatives bound and in check by official oath and by official bond. Let it be known that down from the ancient ones, our primogenitors came the allodial and sodomy principles which established the supreme law of the land.
Okay. All right, I found it. There we go. Thompson versus Smith, 155 VA 367. Supreme Court of Virginia. So this is a state case and not a Supreme Court case, by the way.
Let me hit you in the head with this real quick
No,
before you start.
I really want to. I
Oh,
want you to
yeah,
read
my
this
bad,
with this case that you said that you did not read, but you are quoting or getting a synopsis of it from.
Go ahead.
And okay, I'll give you the money, y'all's money shot on page 377. The right of the citizen to travel upon the public highways and to transport his property thereon in the ordinary course of life and business is a common right which he has under his right to enjoy life, liberty, to acquire and possess property, and to pursue happiness and safety. Includes the right in doing so to use the ordinary and usual conveyances of the day, and under the existing modes of travel includes the right to drive a horse, drawn carriage or wagon thereon, or to operate an automobile thereon for the usual and ordinary purposes of life and business. It is not a mere privilege, like the privilege of moving a house in the street, operating a business stand in the street, or transporting persons or property for hire along the street, which a city may permit or prohibit at will. This seems pretty solid, right? Well, the next paragraph. The exercise of such right, the city may, under its police power, regulate in the interest of public safety and welfare, but it may not arbitrarily or unreasonably prohibit or restrict it, nor may permit one to exercise or refuse to permit another of like qualifications under the conditions and circumstances to exercise it. The regulation of the exercise of the right to drive a private automobile on the city of the streets may be accomplished in part by the city granting, refusing, revoking, under the rules of general application, permits to drive an automobile on its streets. But such permits may not be arbitrarily refused or revoked or permitted to be held by some and refused other like qualifications under like circumstances or conditions. So if I were you, I would try to find a different case for your right to travel.
All right, I got you. The right to travel, the right to mode of conveyance, the right to locomotion are all absolute rights, and the police cannot make void the exercise of rights. State versus Armstead, 60 S.778, 779, and 7081.
I'm sorry, say
Here
that
it
one
goes right
again.
here. Here it goes right here on your screen. And here goes another one. Hold up. Don't cut me off. We got like 4 or 5 of them now. We in the right direction. I didn't get in the right direction.
Okay, I'll let you go ahead, but I want to note that in your list of the five that I see there, number 4 is the Thompson versus Smith case I just cited to you, and as a furtherance of his argument. So now that I gave you the further context of the case itself, what sort of reliance are you giving to the rest of the bullet points that where you're getting this document at?
Facts. These are facts. You can't
Even though I
facts.
debunked one of them right off the bat.
You didn't debunk it.
I did debunk it. I quoted you directly where the case Thompson versus Smith, the Supreme Court of Virginia, said that the city can require you to get a permit to drive a license to drive a car.
I don't know about that, but I did hear you.
Did you not hear what I just said? But go ahead, please go ahead.
Yeah, you said that, but I don't know if that's true. Like I gotta read.
Do you want me to do you want me to share my screen where I'm getting this case law at? I'm getting it directly from Lexis.
You can share it for the people, but I'm just looking directly into what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to get distracted, so you can share it.
Go for it. Go ahead and recite, your list. I won't interrupt.
All right. So the use of the highways for the purpose of travel and transportation is not a mere privilege, but a common and fundamental right of which the people and natural beings cannot be rightfully deprived. Chicago Motor Coach versus Chicago 337, Illinois 200, 169, NE 22. And then Lee Gear versus Chicago, and then Boone versus Clark, Southwest Juror First Highways. And then the right to park or travel is part of the liberty of which the natural person, remember I told y'all 2 different type of persons in that constitution, an artificial person.
Which you haven't backed up with, but go ahead.
So when the highwaymen, the gangs in New York, hired criminals with guns, pull you over, they're not really talking to you. They talking to that birth certificate or that social security, Cessna QV trust. So that's why they always say, give me your license, give me this and that.
Well, you're
So
required to have a license to drive in the state, so of course they're going to ask you for ID the first moment they stop you.
no, you're not. You don't need a license to travel.
I already gave
I could
you citations that says otherwise, but
I could travel right now to anywhere I want to go. If I had a conveyance, I could travel anywhere I want to go. I could put jackpot on my license plate and can't nobody do nothing to me.
until you get stopped by the officer, and then he's going to ask you about what's going on.
And I just
Why
tell
you
them
don't
who
have a
I am.
why you don't have a proper plate on your car? And then he's going to ask you for your license. You're saying you're not going to have one, and then you're going to be arrested and put in jail for the next 30 days for driving without a license.
And then if that do happen, he'll lose his job. I get out. I have a lien on him. I go out to his
You can't
shirt
put a
team.
lien on him just for that purpose.
Yes, I
And for
can.
the record,
Let's stop
states are cracking down on that type of practice, Ben.
on my life, liberty, and happiness. They make jails for things like that.
Driving's a
That's why.
privilege, not a right, and that's something that you can't seem to
No,
get your thing around.
it's a right.
Driving is a
No,
privilege, not a right.
driving is a privilege. Traveling is a right. You're right.
You could call it whatever the hell you want, whether it's
They don't say
traveling,
driving.
floating, operating. You could call it whatever you want. The police and the state and various courts and case law all say it's the same damn thing. There is no distinction. There is literally no distinction between traveling and driving.
They're not the law. They're operating under color of law. They're de facto.
Except when they put you in handcuffs.
Nah, they ain't gonna never put me in handcuffs.
You say that they're not the law, except for every single person disagrees with you.
Nah, every single person don't agree with me. Noble Drew Ali didn't agree with me.
I don't care what Noble Drew Ali said or didn't say.
The so-called government didn't disagree with him either, because he set up 13 temples in 13 different cities. So, almost 13 cities. So,
the right to he has the right to practice his religion. So that's a part of the First Amendment right that you don't associate with.
Listen, when he first came, he set it up as a civic organization. He was teaching national civics, jurisdiction, unalienable birthrights. And then in 1928, right before his death, he set up a religious organization in Cook County in Illinois. He registered an affidavit, lawful affidavit. That's our authority as Moors. So this whole right
which
to travel,
nobody recognizes except for your association.
The thing is, the whole problem is like on the birth certificate. I ain't gonna get into that, but I should get into it. On them birth certificates, that's a bank bond, and they put us under a dead status, and they control your estate. You know what I'm saying? They saying you abandon your estate because once you transact business in Smith, Jones, and Johnson, a European name, you don't own anything. That's not your name. You got to honor your ancestors so your days will be long upon the land, because our ancestors own rivers and they own this land.
No,
so
you don't.
The whole birth certificates, like the whole situation with what was I saying? The whole situation with this traveling and stuff is need to be corrected, and that's why they got a Department of Transportation and they got the motor vehicles. See the difference? Transportation and motor vehicles.
There is no difference. I'm telling you, I don't know how many times I've had to tell people that there's no difference between a motor vehicle, an automobile, a car. And they are all treated the same in the view of the law.
When I talk to certain lawyers, they say you got to call the Department of Transportation if you want private tags on your plate. When I talk to certain sovereign citizens that's Europeans out in Georgia, they show me they private tag plates.
I don't care what they say. They're wrong as well. I don't care what alleged lawyers say to you either.
The motor vehicle and the Department of Justice is two different corporations. They're not the same. And I don't know this for sure, but you probably can go through the Department of Transportation to get some type of plates, just like the same way you could go to the Department of Treasury and get lawful money. The Federal Reserve notes is not real money.
I understand that it's also something that you believe, but
Now
you
that's
would.
facts. That's facts. That's why I said go look up Louis McFadden in
Meanwhile, I can
1934.
go get some McDonald's right now, and they'll take my fiat
Louis
currency.
McFadden, Congressional Record 1934. These are facts. It's not something I believe.
No, you're reciting the opinion of a random a member of Congress that nobody else subscribes to.
No, these are documented facts. That's what I'm
They're
telling
not documented. I've already debunked at least several of your documented facts, and you seem to jump from one thing to another when you're trying to recite these facts. You have already admitted that you have not even read a lot of these laws that you're citing to me as supporting your argument.
You don't need to read them. I got them in my head. I live them.
You have to read them to understand the context of the case. You cannot just simply rely on this document that you're processing to people to say that is exactly what is going on in the case that it's cited. You have to read these things.
Let me read.
You have to read and understand the context surrounding it. Because Kent versus Dulles, I'll say number 3, Kent versus Dulles has to do with the communist people trying to get a passport, and they were denied because the government had them as alleged members of the Communist Party. That has literally fuck all to do with driver's licenses. You cannot associate that.
To do with the Federal Reserve banks. That's what we was talking about. Lawful money. What's lawful money? You're confusing yourself now.
No, I'm not confusing myself. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I'm killing you on this debate.
No, dude, you're not killing anything. I'm pointing out the fact that you don't even know what you're citing, and you're attributing them as truth. You don't even know the cases, the context of the cases that you're citing to support your argument, and then you're still associating them as truth. When I just pointed out to you several different cases that you're citing that do not support you and in fact contradict what you're trying to argue. So, if you're saying that you're killing me in this debate, I don't know who the hell you're getting that from.
Let's do this like this. I'm gonna cite these cases, these 3 cases. You said you already knew one, so we could skip through 4. Thompson versus Smith, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, you didn't. You said.
No, we could go ahead and do that. Fine.
Armstead. So, all right, and then what I want you to do. I want you to, after I'm done reading these cases, I want you to tell me case laws that prove that this is wrong. That's what you got to do. Not your opinion, not how you feel, not debunk this. Tell me case laws that prove that this is wrong. So, the use of the highways for the purpose of travel and transportation and travel, not motor vehicle, not driving. Is not a mere privilege. It's not a mere privilege. You said driving is
a privilege. You're quoting Thompson versus Smith again, by the way.
No, I'm quoting Chicago Motor Coach versus Chicago 337 Illinois. The reason why driving is a privilege because you're transporting 18-wheelers. You're doing Uber and stuff like that. You got passengers, so driving is a privilege. Yeah, driving is. You doing tractor trailers, you got cars and you transporting cars and stuff. That's driving. 18-wheelers and stuff. Operating in commerce. Yeah. So, but a common and fundamental right of which the public and natural beings cannot be rightfully deprived. The right to park or travel is a part of the liberty. So they're depriving you of your liberty when they stop you, of which the natural person, citizen, cannot be deprived without due process of law under the 5th Amendment of the United States Constitution. Kent versus Dulles. The right of a citizen to travel upon the public highways and to transport one's property thereon, either by carriage or automobile, is not a mere privilege which a city may prohibit or permit at will, but a common right which he or she has under the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, state police power extends only to immediate threats to public safety, health, welfare, etc. Michigan versus Duke. The state is prohibited from violating substantive rights. Owens versus City, 455 U.S. 662, 1980. And it cannot do by one power, e.g. police power. that which is, for example, prohibited expressly to any other such power, e.g., taxation, eminent domain, as a matter of law. All right, U.S. and UT Daniels, nor indirectly that which is prohibited to it directly. Now, traveling in the automobile on the public roads was not a threat to the public safety or health and constituted no hazard to the public, and such a traveler owed nothing more than due care as regards of tort for negligence to the public, and the owner owed no duty to the public, e.g., state, he or she and his or her auto having equal rights to and on the roadways or highways as horses and wagons, etc. The same right is still substantive rule, and that speeding, running stop signs, traveling without license plates or registration are not threats to public safety and thus are not arrestable offenses. Christie versus Elliott, California versus Farley, 98 SED. Under the United States Republic's constitutional system of government, see what I said, not the incorporated de facto government, and upon the individuality and intelligence of the citizen. The state does not claim to control one's conduct of others, leaving one the sole judge as to all that affects oneself. Mulger versus Kansas. Where rights secured by the Constitution are involved, there can be no rulemaking or legislation which would abrogate them. This is why I said anything notwithstanding the Constitution, null and void. Miranda versus Arizona. The claim and exercise of constitutional rights cannot be converted into a crime. Miller versus Kansas. So everything that you try to say about locked up and this and that, that's just saying the claim and exercise of constitutional rights cannot be converted into a crime. For a crime to exist, there must be for a crime to exist, there must be an injured party, i.e., corpus delicti. There can be no sanction or penalty imposed on one because of this constitutional right. Shearer and Cullen, and I want to quote Gibson versus Boyle for a crime to exist, there must be an injured party. Gibson versus Boyle. If any tribunal court finds absence of proof of jurisdiction over a person and subject matter, the case must be dismissed. Louisville versus Motley. It's like 7 different jurisdictions. The accuser bears the burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Lack of federal jurisdiction cannot be waived or overcome by agreement of parties. Griffin versus Matthews. So I'll pull it back up, and you can start, I guess, right here and try to debunk the cases.
No, well, the thing is, the burden of proof is on you still, but I'll go ahead and point out a few of these things. But I will go ahead and recite Kendrick versus Maryland again. In the absence of national 235 U.S. 610, in the absence of national legislation covering the subject, a state may rightfully prescribe uniform regulations necessary for the public safety and order in respect to the operation of its highways of all motor vehicles, those moving in interstate commerce, as well as others. And to this end, it may require the registration of such vehicles and the licensing of their drivers, charging therefore reasonable fees graduated according to the horsepower of the engines, practical measure of size, speed, and difficulty of control. As well as, again, Kent versus Dulles. Like I said, that had to do with the issuing or the revocation of passports for individuals who the government alleged were members of the Communist Party. Again, that has nothing to do with the issuance of driver's licenses whatsoever. So I don't know why you're citing that case to me. As far as Michigan versus Duke, state police power extends all immediate threats to public safety. Well, no shit. Whereas I don't know where you're getting this California case, but it's a California case. It's not a U.S. Supreme Court case. But notwithstanding, even if I wanted to go ahead and use that, we already have Dixon versus Love, 431 U.S. 105. Here, Miller versus Reed, 176 F 3D 1202.
What are you saying? That depicts the first case? You saying because what? Just sum it up real quick.
Oh, you want me to sum up cases, but you won't sum up the ones that you're citing.
No, I'm saying why did you saying that case that you just read? You saying that depicts the case that I just said? Why though? Because this is supreme law of the land. You're reading state laws and ordinances.
I just cited Hendrick versus Maryland, which is the United States Supreme Court.
Oh, okay.
And then you're going to, and then once also what I said too is that you also citing um cases that aren't from the Supreme Court. Like I said, Thompson versus Smith is from Virginia. California versus Farley, Cedric, whatever, it's the California third district,
Most of the
third
other ones,
district court. Kent versus Dulles is a U.S. Supreme Court case, but it had to do with passports. It has nothing to do with driver's licenses.
all right, so look, I got some people on my chat. Peace and love to the brothers and sisters in the chat. Somebody said I like the hat. All right, peace, thank you. So, Motor Vehicle Act of 1934, treaties are the supreme law of the land. We are not sovereign citizens. Whoa, dude just disrespected the Prophet Noble Jew Ali. I was trying to basically enforce to him that this United States is a corporation, but he was asking me for the law. I couldn't find the law. You get what I'm saying? But yeah, peace and love to everybody in the chat. But we can continue. If y'all want to add on, y'all can add on. We can keep going.
Okay, I mean, but I can also provide you some practical applications and practical cases in which people have tried to assert that they have the so-called right to travel and not having to drive a driver's license, and they kind of failed throughout throughout. So I would really love if you could find me a case where somebody cited these cases in fighting a traffic ticket, fighting a suspension of license.
I know,
and that was successful.
I know Moors that was driving. It's all on the internet. I know Moors that was driving with no license plate, got pulled over. He kept standing on his square enforcing his constitution, and the public servant said, "I'm sorry for my guy," because he called the supervisor. He said, "I'm sorry for my employee pulling you over, is disturbing you. Here's his business card. Go on and have a good day. Next time, just try not to speed around here. No ticket or nothing." Another video with a Moor riding with Moorish tags. They pull him over and question him about the tags. He pull out documents and break everything down to them. They sitting out there for about 10 minutes talking. Next thing you know, he pull off in that Moorish government car. So no tickets or nothing. So yeah, this stuff is very
we're
real.
citing a couple of videos, and it's a case that some authority that somebody told you. Okay.
I want to go through this Motuo Proprio letter from Pope Francis to Obama, because this is going to have a lot of Europeans shaking in their boots when they hear this. Because about ecclesiastical law, that's the highest law kind of that puts you in your own jurisdiction. That's the reason why we have our own jurisdiction, because Noble Drew Ali
registered. What the hell does the Vatican have anything to do with U.S. law?
Because he owns all the corporations in the United States.
All right, you assert that, but you haven't provided any evidence for it.
Look, they said Pope Francis, I'm just looking at a top story. It says Pope Francis changes canon law for religious who desert the community.
Okay. What does that have to do with us, the United States, or U.S. law, or state law, or municipal law? Again, you need to provide evidence that says that the Pope or the Vatican law is superior to Congress and the Constitution. Now, if you don't have any evidence for that, you need to provide it.
Hold on. Now listen. Now this is from the apostolic letter issued motu proprio of the Supreme Pontiff Francis on the jurisdiction of judicial authorities of the Vatican City State. That's criminal matters.
Which is applicable to the Vatican City State. Where the fuck is the Vatican City State? It's in fucking Italy. Why are you associating that with the United States?
Because the Pope owns United States Corporation.
My fucking God. You have no evidence for that. You haven't provided any fucking evidence for that. But you're just going to assert that and then claim that this fucking document is in any way, shape, or form applicable to us in the United States.
The United States is a corporation, not a country.
Oh my god. Again, which another assertion without evidence.
He owns all of the corporation.
Again, assertion without evidence.
All right. Let me read this letter real quick. In our times, the common good is increasing threatened by transnational
I don't want to interrupt you, but you need to establish that that this is in any way, shape, or form applicable to the United States before you can recite it. You need to establish that the Vatican actually, in fact, is in control, and therefore this document is applicable to us.
The Holy See. This is all churches.
Roman Catholic churches?
All churches.
Roman Catholic churches.
All skull and bone kickback agreements, all secret societies.
Oh, Christ.
Answer to the Pope.
Okay. Another.
All members of the crown, all Roman soldiers answer to the Pope. He's the highest authority. For y'all, for the Albions.
I'm not an Albion.
You're not a Moor?
No.
So what are you?
I'm Puerto Rican.
Nah, that's not even a nationality.
An ethnicity. It's actually a nationality, but well, we want to be some of us want to be an independent state, but that's neither here nor there. But I'm Puerto Rican. You know, my family was from Puerto Rico. We could trace our lineage through our ancestry. You're
How do you do that? Hold on. No, you can't.
Yeah, I can. My father sends in a piece of a DNA to he sent his DNA to a university that traces genealogy.
You hear yourself right now?
Yeah. Who the fuck are you to say that my father's wrong?
Yo, you know what you got to do to get your DNA, right?
Send a blood sample. What else?
No, you got to dig up all of your ancestors that died.
Oh my god. Oh god, you don't even understand science too.
No, I'm telling you the truth. You got to go dig up all your ancestors or go search birth records and death records like war records, stuff like that. That's what you got to do.
You're saying I have to literally exhume bodies in order to determine my ancestry. Oh man.
Ain't no DNA test gonna tell you that. That's like 20% truth.
20% truth. Another assertion without evidence. Man, we're on a roll here.
All right. Well, yeah, he's dealing with the jurisdiction.
Okay. I mean, you say I'm Albion, which I don't even know what the fuck that means.
On top of that, why would he send this letter to Obama? And then why would Obama go all the way over to Egypt, the capital dominion of the Moorish Empire?
Well, the Moorish Empire is not even a thing. I hate to break it to you.
Oh, listen, I ain't mean to say that, but Barack Obama goes to Egypt and he does the rights of indigenous speak. No, he went out there, he did something, and then he came back, did the rights of indigenous people. So all of us to proclaim our nationality.
The rights of indigenous people was a UN document that's not even binding on anything.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. The U.S. never acclimated to anything of it. It's even the people who signed on to it. It's not. It's non-binding. Again, you don't know what you are even citing.
Hold on. So this is why I see news articles saying that the United States wants to withdraw from the UN, huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
What the hell does that have to do with the rights of indigenous peoples document? Do you realize that there are several UN resolutions that are non-binding? That has fuck all to do with the U.S.'s sentiment on getting out of the EU.
No.
The reason why part of the reason why people want to get out of the EU is because the U.S. funds it. Maybe we don't want to pay that money anymore. You're trying to associate that as though oh, that means they want to get out of contracts, they want to get out of resolutions. That's something that you're pulling out of your ass.
This thing is not about money, because ain't nobody getting lawful money. They ain't getting gold and silver.
Here we go again.
Federal Reserve notes, bank bonds.
Yeah,
that's like,
yeah.
this stuff is about right there.
Right. While I can go get a Big Mac with my fiat currency, that's not real money.
Actually, a birth certificate is proof that human trafficking still exists.
No, that's a new one. That's a new one to me.
That's facts.
Oh, of course it is. I'm sure you think it's facts. You know, saying something is facts doesn't make it facts, by the way.
No, the reason how you know a birth certificate is proof that human trafficking exists, because back in the days when the life of Jesus and all in the Bible and all that, even Abraham Lincoln's time, Abraham Lincoln didn't have a birth certificate. He wrote his birth in his Bible, in his holy Bible, his family Bible.
Okay.
So that lets you know right then and there, they just brought these birth certificates in. So why did they do it? To label us as slaves or corporations.
Just because something new comes along does not mean it's illegitimate.
Nobody has gotten paid since 1933 when they overthrew the republic and set up a democracy. Democracy means demon. Study etymology.
so now you're associating. Now you're saying 1933 is when the U.S. was overthrown. Before you said it was 1771, then it was 1791, then it was 1913, and then
I said Noble Drew Ali.
Then it was 1871. You need to get your dates right if you're going to talk about when the U.S. was overthrown, dude. Because you're kind of all over the place, and it kind of tells me that you don't even know what you're saying.
No, I'm saying Noble Drew Ali made the stock market crash 1913.
Citation needed.
After all that, they was trying to get back like their profits and they're trying to get back and build up their greatness. So they started stealing our birthrights. 1930, FDR. It's acts and laws that.
Wait, so now we're in 1930 instead of 1933.
I said 1930s.
Well, you gave a specific day of 1933, and also 1934 was also in there as well. But again, you keep on saying 1913 when the Federal Reserve came around, 1871 with the Act of 1871. Then you would say that the bad Constitution was 1791 or 1771. You're going all over the place, which again tells me that you don't know what you're talking about.
All right, how about this? You know the American Bar Association?
I do know the American Bar Association. As a lawyer, I ought to.
Okay, watch this. Do you know that every acting judge is an attorney? He's not a judge. Right?
Wait, say that again?
You know that every acting judge is an attorney. He's not a judge. He's really an attorney.
Judges are also attorneys.
You can't be a judge and an attorney.
Yes, you can.
No, you can't.
Yes, you can.
Nah.
Yes, you can. You're talking to a fucking lawyer. Yes, they can.
Well, if the acting judge is an attorney, and the prosecutor is an attorney, and the DA is an attorney, that's a conflict of interest.
A DA and a prosecutor are the same person, but notwithstanding, there is no conflict of interest.
That case got to get thrown out because they all members of the bar.
Doesn't matter.
That's not a fair case. Yes,
you have to. Matter. No, it doesn't matter. Being able to write. Practicing attorneys are not in league with each other. There's no fucking conflict of interest.
This is why when I went to court, and the acting judge tried to call the straw man. I said, I am Devon Bay. He tried to call the straw man again. I said, I'm Devon Bay.
You mean your actual name?
Somebody came into court. I said, I told him my free national name. I don't have a name. I have an appellation. I'm a free natural man. So I told him my free national name. I said Devon Bay. So he said basically somebody came in and whispered in his ear. They took a break. And then when I sent my proclamation jurisdiction and they try to switch judges and this and that, make a long story short, they couldn't really do nothing. So they basically just stopped sending me letters.
Yeah, I'm sure that's exactly what happened.
I got it all documented. I got a documentary out and I'm about to start selling it for 7 notes. So people
A
hit me.
documentary of your alleged way that you got out of jail because you wouldn't say your birth name.
Oh, not get out of jail because I would never go to jail for a traffic ticket. You can't go to jail for if you didn't commit a crime. But what I'm trying to say is, all three of my last recent cases, when I was using more science, because I am a more scientist. When I was using more science, they
Scientist.
respect me, treated me like a human. They treated me like God. Actually, they bowed down to me
Who
because I'm the
bowed down to
master.
you?
I'm a master.
I'm sure you are. Yeah. With all due respect, you don't look like no divine being to me. Um,
Well, looks are not nothing. You ever heard of the saying, take the message and lead a messenger, or don't judge a book by its cover?
that's
Looks
fair.
are not nothing. What's in the mind is everything. That's why I wear the same clothes every day, so people think I'm bummy and poor.
You wear the same clothes every day because what?
I want people to think I'm bummy and poor. And when I want to dress up, I'll dress up, but there's no need to.
Okay. I mean, that's hey, you do you. I'm not gonna judge. Um, but like I said, I'm not going to really take your word on these claims that you're making. But that then again, you already said you're going to put your documentary where you're going to, I guess, showcase the evidence and provide the proof of dismissal and so on. As you know, but you're putting it behind a paywall. But that's fine.
How many people does you know without a birth certificate? Somebody in my chat wanted to know that.
I don't know many people without one because people get a birth certificate. It's a standard practice when you're born. It's normal.
So what about they trying to call so-called certain Mexicans immigrants? Not
Okay.
so-called, but they're trying to call the Mexicans so-called immigrants. Why are they trying to call them immigrants? Is it because the birth certificate?
I'm sorry. What?
Is it because of the birth certificate?
Is because they haven't provided they're saying they're immigrants if they were born and raised in Mexico and don't have US citizenship. Then by definition they're an immigrant.
You can see me, right?
I see your screen that you're sharing.
And then you see me through the screen, like I got my OBS running too.
I don't see you. I just see your dashboard on YouTube.
It should be switching over to my screen soon, but yeah, yeah, I don't know. I
Yeah.
know I
Uh,
know I got
well,
an
it's been how long is it? How long have we been going here?
hour and 7 minutes.
Okay. I think this might be a time for to conclude. Um, so I'll allow you to get your word in, and we'll go ahead and conclude.
All right. Well, I'm just gonna end it off by saying I am the government. I am the law. I'm a descendant of the great pharaohs, Moabites, Canaanites, the great pharaohs of Egypt. I am Devon Bay and propria persona sui juris at all times. I am exercising all my rights at all times, and I just reserve all my rights forever without prejudice. And I don't know. What else can I say? Noble Drew Ali was the most powerful man that ever stepped foot on America's soil. He's opened up he basically opened up the Freedmen's Bureau, the real Freedmen's Bureau, you know, and gave us our land, our heirs to he told us about we being the heirs to the world vast estate, gave us our birthright, taught us about our birthright. He didn't give it to us, taught us about our land, our nationality, our identity, our lost spirituality. So I can't wait for Donald Trump to contact me or the Pope Francis to write me or somebody acting in government to send me some type of letters telling me they're gonna give me my land grants and start giving me compensation because soon I feel it that it's gonna come. So I'm not even really worried about too much, but I know a lot of stuff. I know Moors right now that's living without even paying no mortgage because they enforced the Constitution and using more science. So this stuff is very valid. Everything Noble Drew Ali did, his claims was 100% valid, and that's all I really want to say.
Okay.
And travel, you got a right to travel free, and driving is operating in commerce, moving like tractor trailers or transporting taxis and stuff like that. So yeah, you got a right to travel that freely.
Okay. Sounds good, man. Um, at least for mine, we had a very interesting discussion. I do think that we have kind of got a glimpse of Moorish identity and Moorish ideology when it comes to application of the law. I will say that I guess I'm kind of disappointed in the sense that I didn't wasn't really provided much that I hadn't already seen. A lot of the cases that were cited were have all been addressed and debunked long before. A lot of the views on the Act of 1871, on
Not that
1913 reservation, the 1933 bankruptcy, the a lot of these cases are kind of like rehash things that we've already seen, we've already discussed, and so it's kind of it really hasn't been nothing new. We kind of got a glimpse of uh, Devon's usage of case law and usage of terminology and citations when he then admits that he didn't even read the actual cases that he's citing. So kind of gives you a sense of where he's coming from in terms of what he's taking in as truth, where he's getting his information from, and so on. So that's all, what I gotta say. I think the what we just saw today kind of speaks for itself, and I'm gonna just let the audience decide, who won this discussion and who didn't.
Let me say one more thing. Let me say one more thing. All right. Y'all could go subscribe to my YouTube channel, watch all my videos, share them out, tweet them out. Casper the Great One Topic, CASPATHEGREAT with the number one topic. And another thing is 1855, President Lincoln slander case, discrimination case. President Lincoln was the last lawful president. He was a constitutionalist lawyer. 1855, President Lincoln defended a Moor. So he said, this is his quote, President Lincoln, I quote, my client is not black. He said, my client does not have the same skin color of us, but my client is not black. It's a crime to be black in America. I may say my client may not be black, but he is a Moor. The judge said, you mean a Moor, like
Okay,
Moore?
okay, where are you getting this citation from?
1855. You can look it up. I got this. Well, you can look it up in any document, court document. 1855.
Okay,
President.
thank you, Devon Bay. I think you kind of also just re-highlighted
William,
the entire discussion with
William,
your citation that you probably didn't even read the case itself. But I appreciate
William
you.
Dunn.
I appreciate it, man. You have yourself a good night. Okay, take care.
17 sundry free Moors.
Okay, guys. Hang on a second here. Oh well, I don't have the mic, or excuse me, the camera set up on here. Uh, but yeah, and there it is. You got yourself a glimpse of crazy. But like I said before, we experienced, here we go. We experienced somebody who clearly does not know what he's citing. Somebody who doesn't read what he's trying to convey. Like any other sovereign citizen, he just spouts off assertions without providing any evidence for it. And what evidence he provides, it's anecdotes. It's anecdotal evidence. What else can he say? So I appreciate you guys coming in to watch that. I'm going to take a brief break. I'm going to need a beer after that one. I'm going to have some food. And then I might come back online later on, okay? I don't know what I'm going to play. It's probably going to be something relaxing, so it's not going to be Resident Evil. Maybe Fallout. I don't know. But yeah, it was interesting. But we'll see what happens if we'll come back again. Take care, guys. See you in a bit. If I don't see you later tonight, I'll see you tomorrow. Adios.